Hey guys, AuspiciousAussie here, and welcome to episode 71 of the San Marino Challenge. Now, today's episode, as you can see, we are versing AC Milan in the SUPERCOPPA final. Of course, the Super Cup of Italy, for whatever reason, played in January, middle of the season. But yeah, apart from that, as you can tell by the title of the video, we have signed our first world-class player. Now, I say our first because technically it's hard to say first because technically we do already have a world-class player in Formato. However, this guy is the person I was talking about in the previous episode, and we've activated his release clause and paid 47.5 million. Now, I'll show you him in a second, but let's have a quick little look at the league table. As you can see, this season, once again, not going to be invincible. We have suffered a defeat. Only one defeat so far in the first 19 games. But it's still disappointing. And the way in which we lost is absolutely incredible. And we'll get into that. Got a lot of fixtures to go over. But as you can see, we're ahead of Inter by 11 points currently, which is pretty massive. Although, Inter have been pretty dominant the last couple of seasons as well. They always seem to have a really good end to the season, whereas we sort of have a really good start and then drop off a little bit towards the end. So it'll be interesting. I'm sure they'll do pretty well going forward with the rest of the season. Another thing to mention, Udinese and Juventus are also doing really well in terms of the Champions League spots. Good to see Juventus coming back as well. The last couple of seasons they've been pretty disappointing. Haven't really been challenging for the top four spots, or even challenging us. But yeah. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty of the transfer activity. The window is still open for a few more days, 2 more days after today. Although I am looking at a right winger, but I don't think I'm going to bring him in at this stage. Possibly a right winger in the next transfer window. I might do it, but I feel like it's, again, a pretty decent fee, and we've spent a lot of money. And as you can see, we haven't recouped. Well, we've recouped about half of what we've spent, albeit that's probably going to go up a lot because we're currently selling 2 players, which I'm a little bit worried about. But again, good prices, and these players, well, one of them needs to leave, the other not so much. I'll also go into that because they probably will leave, and I might even show you next episode as well. Enough rambling, let's go through the only player that left the club, and that was Alberto Fabri. 18-year-old San Marinese centre midfielder, had 6 months left on his contract, and he's joined La Fiorita in the San Marinese league. So a good little transfer for him. I was happy to accept their £0 offer, purely for the fact that, excuse me, he will hopefully develop there, as opposed to him not being picked up by a club and then just retiring, as it does happen with some San Marinese players from our academy, due to their wages being a little bit higher than what many San Marinese teams are willing to pay for. Anyway, let's go into the ins, and we'll start with the marquee man, Walid Sabir. 21-year-old Frenchman, 21 caps for the national team. He is an elite centre-back. In my opinion, I would say he's world-class. As you can see, 5-star current ability, obviously 5-star potential, but a 5-star current ability player. And he was the guy I was mentioning. We actually versed him in the previous episode against Benfica, and of course we did lose that game, so albeit we had a red card against us, but he is the type of player that we're going to need if we want to win the Champions League. And that's why I have spent so much money to get into the club. £47.5 million, 195k per week. He's on a 4-year contract here as well, which is pretty good. Obviously, it keeps him here for a decent chunk of his career. But looking at the physicals, I mean, he's going to be our future captain as well. That's pretty certain. 17 leadership, and he's got 14 teamwork there as well. But he's a perfect ball-playing defender, and that's exactly what we play. So it was kind of a no-brainer, but like I mentioned, it was hard to negotiate. He really didn't want to come. And leading into December, it popped up in one of the scout reports, because I just kept scouting him, and it popped up that he wasn't interested, or he was barely interested, or whatever it says. But it did have the estimated wage demands, and I thought, we'll give it another crack. And yeah, he accepted. And the other player is Radim Sokolic, who is a 17-year-old Czech Republic centre midfielder. Basically just signed him as a replacement, because we're probably going to sell Valsen. Yeah, I'll go into that just here. As you can see, we also have another transfer set up on a Bosman, which is good, just a backup goalkeeper with a little bit of potential. But yeah, at the moment we're trying to sell Veta. Of course, we brought in a world-class centre-back. We need to essentially free up another centre-back spot. Veta hasn't played at all this season. I said I wanted to give him game time, and I've literally done the complete opposite. He's on 29k per week. I've gotten offers of about 7 to 8 million for him, which is about his value, which is pretty good. And all those clubs decided not to put any wage negotiations for us, so that's really good. Get him off the wage bill. Nice little transfer fee for him as well. But yeah, the other player that we are selling, as you can see, I did have to reject quite a few offers for Veta there. Yeah, Valsen, Benfica, obviously cashed up with a little bit of money now. Have come in for Valsen. 20 mil up front. I may as well just show you the deal. As you can see, 20 mil up front, 10 mil in 2 installments, and then we also have 30% of the next sale, which is, it's massive. It really is. And obviously, Benfica probably are a selling club to teams in the Premier League, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, those types of teams. So essentially a third of his next fee will come to us regardless, which I think is massive. That's, if he goes for 60 million or something like that, we're going to get basically a third of that money. Anyways, obviously finances took a little bit of a hit, down to 224 mil. And obviously that's going to take another little dip once the next expansion goes through for the stadium. But yeah, let's get into the fixtures. Of course, the previous episode was the 1-0 loss to Benfica. We followed that up with a big victory over Juventus, 1-0 for Marto in the 4th minute. We then smashed Roma, 6-2. Britos with a brace for Marto on the score sheet again. Champlat with a brace, and Viviani. As you can see, we scored 2 really late goals in that one. We then beat Club Brugge 4-0. Britos with another brace. Pretty impressive from him. He's definitely stepped up. Part of the reason why I sold Valsen. Britos has essentially taken his place, more or less. Yeah. Albani and Schmidt were also on the score sheet. Bit of a rotated side. I think with this win, we actually clinched the knockout round. We then followed that up with a 2-1 victory over Fiorentina at home. Viviani and Antonio. It was 1-1 until Antonio's 85th minute goal. So a nice little late goal for us there. The next game was a 0-0 draw away to Pescara. Pretty disappointing, to be honest. We then followed that up with a 2-0 victory over Celtic, sort of returning the favour for the... Did we lose the first game? Or was that last season? No, we did lose the first game. That's right. We lost it at Celtic Park with their Kosovian striker, I remember. Albani opened the scoring and Schmidt got our second in the 88th minute. We then beat Sampdoria 1-0 through Michelotti. We then entered the first round of the TIM Cup against Torino, who started Shockery up front. And as you can see, we beat them 3-1. Yusufi with a brace and Antonio on the score sheet again. And then, unfortunately, we suffered our first defeat in Serie A. As you can see, it was dreadful. First of all, Formato missed a penalty. We then had Michelotti sent off with 2 yellow cards in the 26th minute, putting us down to 10 men. 6 minutes later, they score their goal. Really disappointing to at least go 1-0 down, albeit we were down to 10 men. And we actually dominated the rest of the game. And then in the 80th minute, Nesic, 2 yellow cards, sent off, down to 9 men on the pitch. Couldn't get an equaliser. And I was pissed. I was livid. We'll say that. The next game was another disappointing result. A 0-0 draw. Udinese are doing really well this season. They're in 3rd currently. And yeah, we just couldn't find the breakthrough. Kept a clean sheet, but yeah, Formato with a 6.1 rating. And I think he got 6.1 in the game before as well. He actually got 6 in that game. So 2 really bad games for him there. I think I dropped him for this next one. Did I? Yes, I did. The next game was a 3-0 victory over Parma. Like I said, Schmidt started. Got himself a brace. Nesic also on the score sheet despite being sent off in the 2 games previous. We then went into the TIM Cup quarterfinals against Sampdoria away from home. And they took us to extra time, in which we scored 3 goals. Albani got himself a brace, and Antonio scored in the 120th minute. And the final game just played was a friendly against FC Porto, in which we won 7-0. As you can see, Britos scoring 4 goals in that one. So his form's definitely improved. Definitely has improved. And I'm super happy with the way that he's performing. Sort of how I expected him to perform when we first... Well, not when we first signed him, because that first season he couldn't play. But that second season, I kind of hyped him up a little bit, and he was pretty dreadful. Now he's doing well. And hopefully he'll do pretty well today. Let's get into today's lineup for the Supercoppa. It's going to be a little bit changed, obviously. I could start Valsen, but I don't really want his transfer to be cancelled because of an injury or something like that. So it's going to be changed up. Ingvarsen's going to be in goals. Going to go with Antonio at right back. Michelotti will be the left back today. I think Nesic is out with a suspension. Actually, it might be an injury. Yeah, it's an injury, which is unfortunate. So he's going to be out with a virus for the rest of this day. Our centre-backs today are going to be Sabir, of course, the new world-class signing. And he's going to be partnered by Ivan. Novi's going to sit in front as the defensive midfielder. On the right, we're going to go with Giuseppe. Left wing for Marto. Marcio is going to come into the centre midfield position to partner Britos. And then up front, we are going to go with Chanpalat. The bench today is going to be Bernardi, Squizzato, Benassi, who comes up from the under-20s. Nolascoin, Valsen, Schmidt, Albani, Vitek, Veta, and Vicini. Just move him up one there. And yeah, Sabir wants number 4. He can have number 4. There we go. Perfect. I like that. Gets his preferred number. He's on nearly 200k a week, so you would probably expect him to get the number that he wants for that sort of price. And for whatever reason, Marcio is not happy that I expect him to win the trophy. Really don't like that when players aren't up for cup finals. Good save there by Ingvarsen. And we're on the counter-attack. Chanpalat up front by himself. And that's a pretty good tackle by their defence. They've still got some good players in there. Donnarumma still in goal. Passiatore still hasn't left, which is really annoying because he's essentially a world-class Italian striker. And he loves to score a goal or 2 against us, as he has done in the past. And then, of course, Kalou, Ruben Neves. They got some real good players. Of course, Kalou is the African or Italian African regen that I've showed previously. And we're picking up a bucket load of yellow cards. Britos and Novi joining both of our fullbacks. And really don't want a repeat of the Perugia game. That was pretty dreadful. Made me very sad as we break the deadlock. Formato with with his 14th goal of the season. Britos with the assist there as well. And we're 1-0 up, which is good. Although Milan have just pulled out another big save from Ingvarsson as we pick up another yellow card to Yusufi. Half of our team is on yellow cards at the moment. And I'm sure that didn't go through just then. So, probably going to have to do it again. No, I don't need to. Okay. Come on, boys. It's a pretty close game, actually. I was kind of expecting us to do a bit better against Milan. I don't know why. Milan are, like I've said, a great team. Formato, Novi, Marcio, Chanpalat. Oh, what a cheeky little move. And Britos. That was a cheeky move by Chanpalat. And like I said, Britos is really found form. Really found his form. And, yeah, just makes me happy. Like I said, reason why I'm happy for Valson to go, as Kalu is offside. But yeah, nothing against Valson. He's developed really well. I mean, he's even played pretty well. I think he's averaging like a 7.12 or something like that, which is, you know, it's pretty good. It is pretty good. Actually, okay, we'll ease him off. Milan have just scored as I've gone to make a sub. And now I don't really want to make any subs. Let's make one sub as my whole team is on a yellow card right now. This is ridiculous. Alright, we're going to take Marcio off. I'm going to bring Valson on it. I kind of have to at this point. We're going to bring Vitek on for Yusufi, despite him not being match fit. Which is a little bit of a worry. But I'd rather just have a couple of less players on yellow cards, if I'm honest. It is very scary, them all being on yellows. We are breaking forward for Mato. That probably could have been a free kick. Milan are breaking forward. Sabir. Oh, what a tank. Vitek, can he cross it? Yes, he can. Penalty. Formato puts it in the back of the net. 3-1. Think that's game over. We've won another SUPERCOPPA. Another trophy for the cabinet. Another really good performance by our boys. Antonio hits the post. Oh, that's so unlucky. We do get the corner. Just got stoppage time to play now. And like I said, another trophy in the cabinet. Well done, boys. It's been a pretty good game. I mean, both sides have had chances. We've just been a little bit more clinical than Milan. Ingvarsson did really well with a couple of free kick saves, which I'm impressed with. But yeah, Sabir on debut, been pretty solid. And that's, I don't know, 47 mil well spent. I guess we'll just have to wait and see as the boys lift the trophy there. Yeah, super happy to win another cup. Obviously, looking to, well, we're on course to win Serie A again. One thing I didn't show you guys, and I'll show you very quickly, as we have Sabir making his debut there. Also get 1.8 mil, which is good. I guess it kind of goes back into the transfer, well, not the transfer fund, but the transfer replacement money that we've spent. But yeah, if I have a look at the fixtures here, we're into the semi-final of the TIM Cup, and we've drawn Napoli, so a pretty tough draw there. And then the Champions League first knockout round, we have drawn Bayern Munich. It's kind of inevitable. Obviously, it's the Champions League. You're going to play the best teams in Europe. But versing Bayern, I know we beat them, what, was it last season? It might have been last season. It's just, it's not ideal, is it? It's just not ideal. Anyways, If you could drop a like on the video, that'd be much appreciated, guys. Subscribe as well if you haven't yet. And that should hopefully, well, if you hit the notification bell, should hopefully keep you up to date with the episodes coming out in the future. Like I said, we still got a long, long way to go with the challenge. But I'm still loving it. Honestly, it's probably my second favourite save or series I've ever had on Football Manager. I had an Arsenal save on FM11. I probably played about 2,000 hours of that. This one's very close second, I'll say that, with a 100% conviction. Anyways, like I said, thank you for watching, guys. Take it easy, and goodbye.